Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 819. I've got a great for you to guest tonight for you. Somebody I'm sure you've seen around. Eagle Gardens. Somebody you've seen around the Canna community for sure, Mr. Lefty's farm. Lefty, you want to tell us how you're doing and where we can find you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I know we've been talking about doing this for quite a while, so I'm glad we can finally work it out and get on together. But yeah, I'm Lefty. You can find me Lefty's Farm on Instagram. It's pretty much it. Don't have a website or anything. I just kind of roll with Instagram.
No harm in that. So hopefully you brought something to smoke on tonight. What have you possibly brought?
Oh, I'm kind of nearing the end of the jars from the last harvest. I tapped into some fresh dried stuff a little bit, but I got a little Bicket OG here from Lime Rising Farms Nick. I got some local skunk from Dominion. And then I got like some Z pie, some black glue, some soda, a little mixture of everything here.
Might be the bottom of them jars, but you packing some fire, Chief.
Yeah, I'm always hunting for something. I like a little fruit, a little funk, old school, a little bit of the Zaza. I'm into everything, man. I'm not picky.
Nice. Hell yeah. Well, I think you know where we start this thing out. When was the first time you used or seen cannabis, my friend?
I honestly think this is the first time I ever told this story on anybody's interview before. So it was 93. I just turned 15. I had a half brother that lived over in Waterford area. I'm actually a former Michigan boy. So I grew up in Grand Rapids area. He was over Waterford, Detroit area. Um, older brother, man, took me out for a ride with his buddy. Just, hey man, you smoked before? I'm like, nope. He's like, you want to? I said, yep. Summer 93, put in Dr. Dre's The Chronic. We're rolling around on Dixie Highway, dude. Twisted one up, smoked it. They're like, you feel anything? I'm like, man, not really. Twisted another one up, smoked it. They asked me, like, you feel anything, man? And I just started laughing. They're like, all right, he's cool. So yeah, that was the first time, summer 93 with my brother. But from then on, dude, I just been hooked. I was never like a big drinker or anything like that. I was always kind of an ADD, ADHD type kid, and it was kind of my Ritalin. It just kind of leveled me out and helped me sleep and kept me from being twitchy and that kind of stuff. So, I'd say I'm what I call a career smoker. So 30 years this year, man.
That's pretty awesome, man. That's something to be proud of in my book. For 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have jobs and a lot of different things along the way in life that say, you should probably quit doing that, or, you get a stigma about it. But, it's always just worked for me. I've never been a pharmaceutical guy. I don't even like taking ibuprofen unless I absolutely have to. So, it's always just kind of been my medicine. It's been my happy pills. My mom used to call it. Come over on Sundays for dinner and shit. She'd be like, you take your happy pills today? I'm like, no. She's like, you should probably go for a walk. Like, yeah. So, I mean, just, it was really never a taboo thing. It was never encouraged, but it was never like a taboo thing around my house growing up. My mom would much rather see me, smoking a bowl than drinking a 12 pack or something. So, yeah, she never encouraged it, but it was never like, taboo or discouraged or anything like that. And I grew up, my parents smoked weed when I was a kid. I played with my dad's fucking rolling tray. He used to keep it underneath the couch. It was like a round Disney tray. It had fucking Mickey Mouse and shit on it, but that's what he broke up all of his shit on. So I just fucking sit there and play with it because I had all the Disney characters and shit on it. He's like, hey boy, put that back, So, I grew up with it. I was around it when I was a kid. So, it was pretty she wasn't the hypocritical type. And I mean, going on now since I started growing, and really the reasons why I started growing, she's really been supportive with all of it, and it's helped her along the way as well. So yeah, it's people get older and they change their views a little bit and shit, and they see how things help, and it's kind of crazy to see how people change their views on things sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'd love to see people change their views when it comes to cannabis. So you say you were hooked the first time. I mean, when you say hooked, was it like every weekend? Was it every week? I mean, and where did we go from that first time? Was it?
Well, I was a 15-year-old kid, so it went to, me and buddies, slinging together $5 each to get to get an eighth. That would last us a couple days out of a bong or something like that. And then, just would move on, get a little job here, get a job there, pretty soon you're buying your own stuff. And, just the way things roll, dude. And it just kept on going from there. So, yeah, it was just a love of it. And it wasn't just, just getting high, I just want to get high. It was more for me like the actual ritual of smoking. I like sitting down and packing a pipe up and fucking, taking a big hit and enjoying it, blowing it out, and just, just enjoying the moment, listening to some good music and all that kind of shit. So, I mean, it was just all of it combined that kind of got me hooked on it. You know what I mean? It wasn't just the high.
Right. So do you think, outside of the stigma there that cannabis would hold us back, do you think it held you back in any kind of way starting off so young?
No. Everybody makes choices in their life, and I definitely made choices that I go back and change, but I don't think I ever had to do with cannabis use. I don't think I ever blamed anything in my life on cannabis use. Like, damn, I wouldn't have got fired from that job if I hadn't been using. I never had a thought like that. So no, I don't ever think it's held me back from anything. If I ever had a job I wanted, I'd take a 2-month hiatus or, do the fucking clean peas and all that kind of shit. But no, it's never really held me back from anything I wanted to do. I mean, and shit, I went back to school at Michigan State when I was 28 years old. I smoked weed every day. We smoked weed during lunch at fucking Michigan State every day. It never held me back from anything. So, no. If anything, it helped me focus on a lot of things. When I was going to school at Michigan State, trying to write papers and stuff, I hadn't been to school for 10 years trying to get used to doing this shit again. I'd sit down and smoke and just, take a breath and concentrate and just, I don't know if it was just the imagination or the creativity that came out of smoking or just the fact that I could sit down and relax, but all of a sudden I could do my schoolwork. So, I mean, just, I don't know, man.
Right on.
Never held me back from anything.
Well, it's a fair question. And, we were always raised that it was going to hold us back, but I have yet to see that to be a true statement. So all the so-called stoners that I know are very productive people. So I asked just so I can maybe someday justify their claim, but it hasn't happened yet.
No, and the whole, makes you dumb or, when you're growing up, it, stunts your ability to, gain knowledge or whatnot. Some of the smartest people I know were some of the biggest stoners that I knew. I mean, shit, my two best friends went to GMI right up the road from you. I mean, you got to be pretty damn smart to get in the GMI. It's called Kettering University now, but, back then it was GMI. But I mean, no, most people are really intelligent that smoke weed for the most part.
I agree. I very much agree. So what initially was it? How long from the time you started to the time you decided to grow? How long in between?
From the time I started smoking in 93, I started growing. I popped my first seeds in 2018. And it was out of necessity, not out of, trying to get free weed or whatnot. I got married in 2016, remarried. And my wife had breast cancer before we'd met. And we got married in 16, 17. She was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. So at that point, I was in her lung and that kind of shit. So anyways, she went through the surgeries and that kind of stuff. And she had never been a cannabis user ever. Real straight lace, PhD, serious kind of job, just had never been a user ever. So we had talked about her getting on some kind of a cannabis regimen and stuff like that, and she wasn't too fond of it. And about her 6th, 7th month's checkup, things were looking good. But at that point, I was like, look, you know, there's other things we can be doing too to help fight this, you know, and she jumped on board. So at that point, I was driving back and forth to Michigan because my dad had a medical license in the state of Michigan. At that time, Virginia was still illegal. No medical, no nothing. So I was driving back and forth to Michigan probably once every 4 months to pick him up in Grand Rapids, driving to Lansing to like have him hobble his handicap ass up 2 flights of stairs to go into these medical dispensaries in fucking Lansing. Well, don't even get me started on that. But anyways, so I did that for a while because I was looking for CBD. I was looking for 1-to-1 ratio cannabis, you know, 3-to-1s, different ratios to make oils and stuff with. So I did that for probably 3-4 runs. And every time I was going to Michigan, you know, it was the cost of gas and the travel and everything like that. Plus you're spending, you know, anywhere from $250 to $300 an ounce, you know, and picking up, you know, 3-4 ounces to be able to make oil with, you know, coconut oil and shit like that. So after a while, it just got to be kind of old, and I was like, look, you know, this is getting a bit ridiculous. This, you know, this traveling back and forth and all this shit, you know, I can do this. You know, I have a background in turf grass. You know, I studied agronomy in school. This is what the fuck I did. You know, I grew grass. So anyways, that's when I started. That's when I started growing was January, February of 2018. And I started with a bag seed. I popped 1 seed, and I was a bag seed from a buddy. And after that was when I started getting into the 1-to-1s and the 3-to-1s and looking at different things as far as that. And from there, just, you know, things grew, you know, tents grew, extra tents turned into rooms. We all know how it goes. So yeah, 5 years later, this is where we're at. And yeah, we've done a lot, man. We've done a lot of good shit. Come up with some pretty cool stuff along the way. And wife's doing good. She hasn't had any active cancer. Fucking like 6.5 years, dude. I think we just passed like the 6-year mark, 7-year mark, something like that. 2006 years. Yeah. So yeah, we're doing good, man. But yeah, it's a wonder what the plant can do. And I wish more people were open to listening to people who have experience with it, because you know, a lot of us aren't bullshitting anybody.
Well, congratulations on the 6 years there. And so how hard of an obstacle, how open was she to trying cannabis versus, you know, traditional medicine?
Well, my wife works in a hospital, so I mean, she's very, you know, by the book. She's very straight laced. You know, she's a scientist. She wants to know science, you know, facts. So I presented as much to her as I could. And from there, it was just her having faith in me and what my knowledge was and just what I've listened to and read. And, you know, I did papers in college about, you know, the use of cannabis and cancer back in fucking 1995, you know, when shit was just going legal in California before anybody was talking about this shit. You know, I've been looking into this stuff for years, and it's just like all of a sudden it's like, huh, you know, maybe this shit was meant to be in my lap. So she really didn't fight too hard. As far as the usage now, you know, setting up when we were still completely illegal in Virginia with a grow operation and a townhouse, that was a little bit more of a challenge. But all in all, I mean, I think we both saw what the benefits would be in doing it. So, you know, we did it. And I think it's been 2 years now. In 2021, we went completely recreational legal, and we're allowed to have home grow now. So everybody can sleep well at night again and all that kind of good shit. So
That's pretty amazing that she was open-minded, at least to have some faith in you to give cannabis a whirl there. So fast forward a little bit there. I mean, she's obviously a little bit open, more minded to it. Does she talk to more colleagues about, is she's obviously a little bit on our team, but is she fighting the good fight when it comes to the medical side? That's a hard one to go, push on.
people she feels safe with, yes. She definitely advocates it to people she feels safe with. Now she doesn't walk around work talking about the fact that she takes RSO every night before she goes to fucking bed. You know what I mean? But I mean, she definitely, when she has the opportunity and people like talk to her, I mean, she's had a lot of people talk to her just about breast cancer and what it is she does for treatment and different things that, they could be doing as far as the natural, more homeopathic way of doing things. And she's got to really kind of steer the course just right and not drop too much. But yeah, she wants to be very helpful. So, in a lot of cases, she'll like take things outside of work and kind of discuss things on a little bit more of an open level, but she still has to be very careful.
You mind talking about some of the strains and some of the things that didn't work for you? What were some of the tactics that you guys did use?
Absolutely. So I started out with a 3-to-1 from Sin City Seeds called Treasure Island, which was really good. But it was heavy on a THC side. So I might have been saying that wrong. It was a 1-to-3 because it was it was heavy on the THC side. And that worked well, but it was a little too heavy on the THC for her. It made her like really, really groggy and I had bad like hangover in the morning. Because when we started out, we just were making coconut oil and she'd make cookies because she didn't smoke. She's never been a smoker or anything like that. So we started out with just coconut oil and cookies. And we moved from the 3-to-1 Treasure Island onto something called Harley Who, which is from Homegrown Natural Wonders, Odie. And that was kind of the sweet spot, was that 1-to-1. And I grew a couple different ones. And that Harley Who was the really good one. I think another one was called Tora Tora or Tora Bora was another 1-to-1 that I grew out. That was also a really good one. But the 1-to-1 was the spot, man. I mean, I did hemp. I had a hemp license 1 year and I grew hemp in the greenhouse. And I would do that straight. I would do that mixed with regular cannabis. And it was just something about that 1-to-1, not mixing it, not the 3-to-1 was the sweet spot for her. It gave her good rest and knocked her out. And it wasn't heavy enough to where she was getting like an RSO hangover in the morning. Because she's taken probably about 2 to 3 rice grains of RSO now. And she's been taking RSO now for probably about 2 years.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you guys prepare your RSO? There's a lot of different ways people talk about the different methods to making RSO, and I think there are different methods, but I think it boils down to the intent. What's the purpose that it serves? So what's your guys' method? How do you make your RSO?
So I just do a little light breakup of my bud after I freeze it overnight, put it in the freezer so it's nice and cold. Do a little light breakup of it, and I either do it depending on how much I'm doing at a time. Usually I like to do 4 ounces. That's what I find the sweet spot as far as being able to get your alcohol extracted out of it. I've done a ½ pound of material. I've done a pound of material. You just don't get that alcohol out of all that herb. So about a $1/4 pound is a sweet spot. So I'll do that. And it's, I'll just make it, just make it so it just barely floats. I use ethyl alcohol. I've tried isopropyl. I've tried like the cane alcohol, the expensive organic shit. the ethyl alcohol is what I like. Um, I don't decarb anything. I don't decarb it before I do it. I let because I distill everything, so it's getting heated that way. So yeah, I'll float it, strain it, and then I run it through my distiller, and then I collect all my alcohol out of my distiller too, so I don't have any waste really with anything. Um, and I'll run it until it's just about completely done dripping the alcohol out, and then I'll do it. I'll just kind of cook off the last little bit of alcohol in the little rice cooker and shut it off. And about 10 minutes after I shut off, I start sucking it up in the syringes just so it's cool enough to not run out. But yeah, I like the no decarb. I like the no decarb. I love the distiller. And yeah, about try to make sure that you're not getting too much material, so you're getting all that alcohol out, because that's where all your medicine's at, is in that alcohol. Everything's cold though. I chill everything too.
What's your thoughts about the leaving the green or the chlorophyll in the RSO? A lot of people say nay, but I think it's a necessary ingredient in the RSO. What's your thoughts?
When Rick did it, he did full plant. He did stems, he did seeds, he did everything. Leaves. I mean, Rick Simpson threw fucking the whole damn plant in when he made it, when he first started doing it. There's medicine in all of it, man, whether it's THC, CBD, or just vitamins or whatever. You're extracting everything out of that plant when you're doing it. So what's the harm in it? That's the way I see it. I don't do it. I just use the buds. I don't use stems. I don't, I sort all that shit out. I use just flower, because that's, where the majority of the medicine is at. But I don't see any harm in doing it the other way. I wouldn't argue with somebody saying, yeah, I do it this way. I wouldn't say, you fucking idiot. Why, that's stupid. Why do you do that? I'd be like, cool, man. What do you, do you get anything more out of it? What's your experience? That's the thing about cannabis, is nobody knows. There's no rules. There's nothing solid in anything right now in cannabis other than fucking it's enjoyable. you know?
True that. So I guess let's go back to the beginnings of the grow. You want to tell us about what that first experience was like, what it looked like? Give us a little peek through the peek hole there. What'd you have going in the beginning?
I think typical about that time frame of anybody. I had a 4x4 gorilla tent. I had a couple of Blurple lights in there that I had bought off of Amazon. A little 6-inch exhaust fan. And I was running the very first run I ran, I believe it was Floorflex. Is that the pink stuff and the green stuff and the brown shit? Yep, I did that the first run. And then from there, I went on to the Roots Organics bottles. And I did those for a couple of runs. And that stuff wasn't too bad. And then from there, I kind of went on to Nectar for the Gods. And I've ran Nectar for the Gods pretty much since then. I mix in some Dragonfly. I've done whole runs with just Dragonfly, earth medicine, teas, and few amendments. I've done just like super soils with teas. When I was doing Operation Grow, we did auto pots with New Millennium nutrients. So I've run a gambit of stuff, man. I've tried a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now I'm running HLG lights. I got 2 6-inch exhaust fans. There's 4 HLG 600s in my flower room. I got two tents. One's a veg tent. One's this kind of a mom, male, fucking whatever happens to be going on at the time tent. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I use my flower room as a dry room. I got my air conditioner and stuff in there, so I can run like a nice 60-60 consistent with no issues. So yeah, I just shut it down for 2-3 weeks while I dry. gives me a chance to get everything caught up and ready for the flip.
Right on. You have run a bunch of genetics as well. I guess where did you start with genetics? Which ones were your did you source for?
Oh, Jesus. Eagle, you've hit my soft spot, brother. Is seeds, dude. Um, I don't know. I want to say some of the first packs I got was like maybe Ethos Lilac Diesel. That was in the early one. I know early on I was picking up quite a bit of mass medical stuff, like the Putang was an early one that I ran. A big fan of AK Bean Brains. The TKNL5 Haze was one of the early ones that I ran that I can recall. Yeah, dude, I was a little bit all over. I ran in a can of Queen Genetics. I ran her Lemon Delight, and that was for Operation Grow when I was doing the Operation Grow show. Yeah, those are some of the earlier ones, man, and it's just steamrolled from there as far as picking up seeds, dude. Actually, my seed refrigerator took a shit last night. I saw a puddle on the floor today. So luckily I don't keep it, very cold in my seed refrigerator for that reason. So it's pretty cool in the corner in the basement where I have them stuffed, but I think I'm running to Lowe's tomorrow.
About how many packs, how many different varieties are in there?
In that fridge? Shit, dude.
I like that shit. That's a good answer right there. That says that's what says the story right there.
I think I counted up between like Stray Fox, Bodie, Irie Genetics, and Doc D's seeds the other day. I had over 100 packs between them 4 or 5 breeders alone.
Oh hell yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's between like the 3 and 350 mark. I stopped keeping count at like 200. So I don't know. I get them in bulk when I see deals. I hit holiday sales. Obviously, there's, I got my breeders that I like and they come out with something new. I got to grab it and shit like that. But I'm always picking up stuff here and there, whether it's the Instagram guy, a Michigan buddy, or, the new hot shit. I'm always grabbing something, man. Always.
It's awesome. I can seriously appreciate that. That's fucking awesome. So I guess the next question be what's on deck? What's next?
Oh, right now I got vegging ready to go into the flower room. Jammy from Rasta Jeff. It's like a lemonade strawberry thing. I got it's called Flying Triangle from Bodie. It's his black triangle by that Wookie. It's like 2 of his big breeding males that he uses, and he kind of smashed the 2 lines together. So really looking forward to that one. But got the greenhouse loaded up. There's varieties in there. I got some Cab Junkie, RS11, GDP, Rose. Fuck, what else is in there? Cherry Paloma, fucking Topanga Sassafras from Nick Risden. I got a Chem Cross in there. I've got Soto in there from Dutch Blooms. I've got all kinds of shit in there, man. I got like 2 of everything in there.
That's not a bad problem.
No.
So you have a hash maker? When you flower smoker?
All of it. All of it. I'm a smoker. I'm a majority of the time, probably 75% of the time, I'm a flower smoker. I like rosin. I'm not big on diamonds. I just like the flavor of rosin better for some reason. It's kind of hard for me to get good rosin where I'm at, and I don't make it enough myself. So I just smoke a lot of that, but I do make a lot of traditional hash, like temple balls, that kind of stuff. I'm really into that kind of stuff. Actually, that's kind of where I'm going to end the evening. because I'm gonna pack up a nice big fat chillin' before we finish the show here, and I'm gonna smoke a nice fat chillin' with that. But yeah, like I said, I'm into the culture of it. I enjoy I enjoy sitting here and breaking up the hash and mixing it up and packing the chillum and going through the whole ritual of it. And it's for me, it's part of the smoking experience. So yeah, dude, I smoke everything. I got a rig sitting here, I got a bong packed, I got the hash chillum sitting here. Figured at some point we'd start rolling here.
So nice. I love me some hash as well, so I appreciate that 100%. So how long you been making? You've been making hash as long as you've been growing, I'm guessing.
Pretty close, man. I mean, when I got in, I dove in deep. I was working on the golf course at the time when I started growing. So I mean, I rode around on a mower, and I was by myself just riding around 8, 9, 10 hours a day. So I did nothing but listen to podcasts. Rasta Jeff, Grow From Your Heart. Loved Rasta Jeff. I credit Jeff so much for, just for teaching me how to grow. I read a lot and, listened to a lot of other stuff, but just Jeff with his, no nonsense fucking black and white way of doing things. I love Rasta Jeff, much respect to him. The podcast, love the podcast. So immediately got into breeding. As soon as I started growing, I was learning about breeding and, buying books about breeding and learning as much as I could there. Because I was also looking into genetics, what genetics worked well for my wife. Not necessarily, for my wife's ailments, but, listening to different podcasts. I don't know how many different breeders I heard, talk about how blueberry strains work fucking well for, gastrointestinal problems like Crohn's and just fucking people with bad guts. Blueberry strains work great and just shit like that. So I dove real deep into the genetics and the podcasts and all that kind of stuff. And along the way I found Frenchie. And I absolutely love Frenchie. And I'd actually signed up for one of his classes and it got canceled by COVID. And I think it just gotten rescheduled, and it was when he passed. And, not only was I heartbroken because, I couldn't take the class, but Frenchie had passed too. So, yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but yeah, I found Frenchie and just dove deep in the traditional hash making and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, probably my fourth real grow, I was washing hash, air drying it. I still air dry hash just because I don't have an air dryer, not because I want to. But yeah, so I mean, just everything just kind of steamrolled from there. But yeah, I got real deep into stuff real quick. The wife was like, "Whoa, time out, you need to slow down a little bit." And she's like, "This is just a lot of information to take in at once." And it was like really overwhelming to her. But no, I just took off with it, man. I mean, I'd been smoking for so long and, just been kind of hiding and not being able to do these things. And all of a sudden it was just like the handcuffs are off. I was like, all right, free game, let's go. So, yeah, man, I dove deep into all of it, but the hash stuff is really cool. Always learning more about it. Again, and it's like, there's no rules of anything. There's no perfect way of doing anything. It's just like, okay, this worked better than last time. What was different? So.
Well, cannabis is a powerful medicine, 100%. Sometimes I wonder, there is a difference between strains. It is pretty individualized, but I find a lot of times, more than not, it isn't just the strain that is, we're dependent on. It's how we're using the cannabis. And I think that, the fact that we're setting fire to it or warming it in any kind of way, is we're not getting the full effects of the plant. We should be more utilizing more raw cannabis, juicing it, trying to eat it in its, utilize it more in a more natural form. And I think we'd be getting a whole lot more health benefits out of it by manipulating it with heat and chemicals a little bit. I think we're pulling it back some on the overall effects.
Absolutely. We've actually talked about like using more MCT oil extractions and stuff like that, just so you're getting like that cold extraction. You're getting more pure CBD rather than getting like, a little mixture of CBD with a bunch of CBN because you fucking decarbed it. Then you had to heat it up in the oven to cook your fucking cookies or make your RSO or whatnot. It's like, I don't test my shit when I'm done. It goes in as this is what I grew. This is what the testing could say before I make the cookies. This is what the flour holds, but I don't test my shit afterwards. I don't test my oils or any of that kind of stuff. So it's really hard to say. But yeah, it's really interesting when you get into all the herbal stuff, because we've gone down that road too. And just whole plant, pure plant medicine is just good. I mean, people lived up until about 150 years ago on just nothing but plants. Nothing but plants, man. No aspirin, no ibuprofen, no insulin, penicillin, none of that shit. Simple shit. None of that shit was around, man. We're living in like a very new age of fucking medicine. So I mean, I highly believe in the plant. The more pure, cleaner, full extract you can get to where it's effective, all the better. We're talking about with the RSO, do you use the whole plant? Why not? Go for it. Why not? And juice and stuff is crazy.
Definitely, I've heard a lot of good things about juicing the plant. 100%. Utilizing the roots for several reasons: cooking, anti-inflammatories. I mean, it is the whole plant medicine, 100% for sure.
Well, you've interviewed Nick Risden.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was kind of one of Nick's big turning points about cannabis being medicine. He went in somewhere and they had like a CBD bar, like a juice bar. Him and Shannon went in somewhere and they had like a CBD juice bar, and he got like a CBD fucking smoothie or something. And he said somebody was twitching or had some kind of like a shake or something was going on with him. And he walked out of there on their way home 20 minutes later. And, Shannon's like, hey, man, you're not shaking, or whatever the case was, fucking. And he was like, wow, holy shit. Is this like that kind of aha moment? And I think for Nick, that was his aha moment. And my aha moment was we started making a salve. We took our 1-to-1 that we were using and just made a simple salve, a little topical rub. My stepdad had lung cancer. He had terrible back pain because he had fucking tumors all up and down the spine. I was like, well, I'll try it. I got extra, material laying around. Fuck it, I'll try it. So I whipped up some shit, sent it to him. My mom's like, wow, this stuff really works. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. It works. Haha. I live in Virginia. She lived in Michigan. She's like, no, it works good. Went home to visit a couple months later. He's deteriorated more at this point. And we're sitting there visiting, and he's like rolling around on the bed and shit. And he's like, oh, I can't get comfortable. And she's giving him pain meds and all kinds of shit. And he's like, put some of that rub on me. She rubbed that shit on his back, and it wasn't like 2 minutes. And you could like see the relief come over his face. And I like turned and looked at my wife, and she looked at me, and we were both like kind of fucking in awe. I was like, neither one of us really used it for anything serious, like a little muscle fucking cramp or something like that, sore leg or something, but nothing like drastic to where he'd really notice it. And man, he'd been rolling around that bed for 2-3 hours, not being comfortable. And he put that rub on. It was like 2 minutes and that shit started working. And like, that was my aha moment. It was like, holy shit, man, this stuff is fucking medicine. It was like we'd been doing our thing, and whatever the case was at that point, but it was like seeing that was the aha moment. And just from there, I keep making the salve. I still have the salve available. I make it most of the time. I just give the shit away because it works so well. I mean, stuff works amazing, but I've tried all different kinds of stuff: oils, tinctures, salves. My wife's really gotten into like a lot of the herbal stuff. She works with Eclectic Alchemy. She goes by Eclectic Alchemy on Instagram. Everybody's probably seen her. She works with Nick pretty heavy. Wonderful, wonderful herbalist, wonderful person as well. Helped her tremendously. All natural, tinctures, herbals, all different kinds of stuff. She's done acupuncture. There's a lot of different things that are natural that are very healing outside of pills and chemo and all the other kinds of things. So if there's anybody out there struggling, there's a lot of other things you could look into. And if you need to, people are welcome to hit me up, ask me questions. I'm an open book. I share recipes on shit I make. Willing to answer any questions anybody has about anything. So I'm all about the medicine, man, all about being as natural as we can be. And there's a lot to being, whole plant healthy.
That's awesome. There's a hell of a lot to be whole plant healthy. That's 100%. So other than salves and tinctures, I mean, do you make edibles? I mean, what is the best forms of edibles do you suggest?
I don't do a lot of edibles. For the fact that my wife's kind of moved on from, taking edibles. Now she just does the RSO. Edibles don't work on me, for one, because I guess it's a liver enzyme thing. But yeah, if anybody ever wants to have an edible eating contest, I'll take on anybody. But I really don't do edibles. I'm not that kind of a cook, so I don't do that. I pretty much just stick with like the tinctures and the oils and things like that.
You grow just indoors, you grow outdoors as well?
Both. So I grow in a greenhouse. So I don't grow outdoors. I grow in a greenhouse. So I do auto flowers in the spring. I'll go out April and I'll do like an early run of auto flowers. About the time those are wrapping up, I'm putting my clones out or putting my feminized seeds out. So I almost get like I basically get 2 harvests a year. And I like everything, dude. There's good autos out there. I've found a lot of good plants and auto flowers. So I slap them in some fucking 15-gallon pots with some nice soil and let them run, dude. You don't have to do a whole lot to them. So I'll run those in the spring, and then I'll run regular photo periods.
A lot of people, we joke a lot about autos around here for one reason or another. So who are your favorite auto breeders, and what have been some of your more successful cultivars when it comes to the autos?
I've tried a lot of them. There's a few of them I haven't tried, a few of the big names that I haven't tried, but my favorite's probably Night Owl. I run a lot of Night Owl stuff. I got a lot of Night Owl packs. I've probably had the best luck with his stuff. I probably ran 7, 8 different strains from Night Owl now. Rockbud, I ran a couple of Rockbud and had decent luck with some Rockbud genetics. Probably one of my more liked ones was from Hybridtech. He's Humboldt CSI's buddy. He's the guy that makes like the crazy feminized reversal spray. Anyways, he makes a strain called Silverback, and it's like a UW hash plant Jaeger by something else, man. And that shit is killer. I ran it last year. Then I just took down 2 plants of it in the greenhouse this spring. and it's drying up now. So I'm looking forward to those. But yeah, those he worked on those for a long time, and those look just damn near like a photo. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But yeah, those would probably have to be my top three right now. And then I've ran Ethos, some of their autos, those have been decent. I've ran a few different ones, but those are probably the more memorable ones.
What type of photos do you run outdoors? You running something a little bit more long flower, seeing how you are in the greenhouse?
I could. My problem is here is we stay warm and really humid pretty late into the season. I mean, we can still have 80-degree days into October, and then you get that rain mixed in from the fall. You know, in the fall, I kind of like to say, come about Memorial Day, that, you know, God shuts off the faucet here and you don't really see rain again unless it's, you know, some crazy thunderstorm until about, you know, Labor Day. So it gets a little hectic in the fall if you get anything that runs real long, just trying to fight, you know, bud rot, botrytis, shit like that. So I try not to take anything past like the first, at the very latest, second week of October. I haven't put anything out that would run longer. I haven't had a big enough cojones to try it yet, but yeah, next year I think I might put some stuff out there. Not only that, but some of them sativas, like I tried a super lemon haze a couple years ago, and some of the buds get so big on them, man. They don't dry out if they get any kind of moisture in them. And it's mold.
Someday I wish I could try the greenhouse growing there. That's an art all in itself. That's a sweet balance between indoor and outdoor. Not as easy as it sounds, I would think.
No, you're covered. So you're not exactly battling the elements as far as, you know, rain and wind. And that's what, you know, that's what gets a lot of guys here with a lot of damaged plants is wind damage. You know, we don't get like nice little rains like, you know, Michigan kind of does in the summertime most of the time, unless it's some crazy thunderstorm where you get like this little, everything's fucking sideways here and the winds blow if you get any kind of rain in the summertime. So your plants get snapped. So I do have that advantage, but you also have the higher humidity and the higher temperatures. So you walk in there and I got just exhaust fans and fans is fucking blowing everywhere. Just, you know, just trying to keep that moisture level down and good airflow and everything in there. You know, I do a lot of defoliating all through the season just to keep that airflow moving through there, fighting, you know, powdery mildew right now during veg, and then, you know, powdery mildew and mold and botrytis during flower. So yeah, it's a battle, man. I mean, it's a battle everywhere. If you're in a 4x4 tent in your fucking basement, or if, you know, you're in a little 5-gallon pot on your back porch or in a greenhouse, it's some kind of battle no matter what you're doing. But yeah, the outdoors, you know, that's a different story. I'd say it's a little bit tougher even than in the greenhouse. But yeah, I got beds. So what I did is I got a 20x60 greenhouse, and I got 3 beds that are 4 foot by 54 feet long, that are 2x6 right now. And I just put them on top of the native soil with no break in between. And then what I've been doing is taking broad forking down into the native soil, the clay underneath, and incorporating that in with my beds. And I use Bio 365 soil for the base soil for my beds. And then I added sand and compost for my bed mixture. And that's what I started with. And then I amend it and cover crop it and do all kinds of shit to it. But yeah, I've been broad forking that clay up for 2 years. Cause yeah, it was like hard pan underneath. I had to level it out with a bobcat. So I had to dig down like 6 foot on one end to level it out. So it was like, it's solid clay where I live at. So 6 foot of solid clay down, it was pretty solid. So trying to get that terroir for the, you know, my natural soil, and kind of work some of that clay into some of the native. into that soil mixture. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been an experience trying to get that all worked up and working on the microclimate in that greenhouse is fun every year. You're muted. You're still muted.
Bio 365. I hear a lot of good things about that. How long you been running it?
Well, I put it, that was the first time I used it. I bought 12 yards of it. First time I used it, I bought 12 yards of that shit. But Canna Queen had been using it for a while. She was sponsored by Bio 365 Tim. And she had told me a lot of good things about the company. And I actually got a chance to meet Tim at the little Canna Queen get together in Michigan and chat with him about, what I was looking to do with the greenhouse and, his thoughts. So I dove in and bought 3 sacks of it, 12 yards. And it's been really nice. It's been really nice. Obviously, it's kind of probably petered out after 2 years, but I've, obviously been amending it and stuff like that. But it's been a really good base, and it has that biochar in it, which, it sustains for a while. So, that was a good thing to have in that base mixture. And that was one of the reasons why I kind of leaned to go with that Bio 365. And it's not the cheapest stuff, but I'm not the type that buys the cheapest stuff. I just try to buy something that's going to work good. It doesn't necessarily always have to be the most expensive, but yeah, it's good stuff. And you pay for decent stuff.
I like supporting good people as well.
Yeah, and Bio 365, I believe one of the owners of it is Bob Weir from Grateful Dead. So hey, man, how much cooler can that get?
I was gonna ask you if there was a connection there. I've seen a few Grateful Dead things down your page there, and I thought, I wonder if there's a connection. If that's one of the reasons why it's leans to the Bio 365.
Yeah, really wasn't a reason, but at the end it was kind of a bonus. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I guess he's kind of quiet about it. But yeah, he's like pretty much the majority owner of the company, I guess.
It's a super cool fact right there as well. I always have thought that was super cool. How many have you ever went and seen them yourself, the Dead?
So I never got a chance to see like the Dead, with Jerry. I believe Jerry passed in, what was it, 95, 96. I was I was a sophomore, junior in high school. I wasn't so much into the Dead then. I was more into Pink Floyd and shit back then. I hadn't found the Dead yet. But I have seen Dead and Company. I love the music. I'm not a Deadhead. If people say they're a Deadhead and they haven't seen Jerry at least 15 times, they're not a fucking Deadhead. That's my opinion. But yeah, no, I enjoy the music. I've seen Dead and Company a few times. I love the music. Put on an awesome show. So yeah, I just saw him here probably about a month ago. I guess this year's supposed to be their last go around. And I think Bob Weir's 82 now, 82, 83, something like that. So, and he still fucking does it, dude. He still does it somehow, man. You ever seen him?
I seen him last year. High as shit on some acid.
Right on, brother. Right on. They do a good show, dude. Both boys still do a good show.
It was an awesome show, man. Great experience, 100%. I know it wasn't the original, you know what I mean, Dead experience, but it sure did light my imagination on what it could have been, back in the heyday, 100%. I could look back and imagine after being there. It was a special experience, 100%.
So if anybody's, my age or younger and they got to see Jerry, their mom and dad took them. And my mom and dad weren't into Jerry. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the dead back then. I'm 45. I'm not sure. You got to be, somewhere in that neighborhood.
50.
No, you're not.
Yeah. 100%. Yep. February turned 52.
It's the Mr. Clean haircut. I'm not quite that clean today, but it keeps you looking young, man.
It does. It absolutely does.
Played golf with a guy today. He's like, "What are you, man? Like 34?" And I just started laughing. I'm like, "I wish." I'm like, "I turned 45 last week." He's like, "Get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "No, man."
Look good, Billy.
I'm like, it's a shaved head.
So, I've also seen, I thought I seen a glass blowing torch on your page as well. Do you blow glass or are you just an aficionado?
A little bit here and there. A little bit here and there. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But yeah, I got into that a couple years back. Yeah, I can blow a few pipes here and there. It's a work in progress. And then I go out there and fire the torch up when I have time. But yeah, I do the hobby farming thing now, and it's hard to find time between the gardens and fucking dogs and everything that's going on. But yeah, I enjoy it, man. It's peaceful. It's definitely a skill that takes a lot of practice. So when people, bitch about paying, certain amounts of money for, quality pieces of glass, don't bitch about it, because it's not that you're paying for that piece of glass. You're paying for the years of work and experience and practice that it took to make that piece of glass, because it's not easy. And that motherfucker that made that for you has probably been burned I don't know how many times learning how to make that piece of glass for you. So
Don't doubt that. I've watched a few glass blowers, and I'm like, man. The other day I watched one. This cat had it all just like blowing. And just as he got in there, turned it down. I'm like, man, a little too close for comfort for me, man. Either way, it looked hot. I mean, it looks like a very hot hobby to just stand there and
yeah, I actually built a little studio out in my garage, and got a mini split so I could work out there in the summertime, but I haven't got the mini split hooked up yet. And I've had it for about a year now. So yeah, man, it gets fucking hot, especially when you're in, like an enclosed room. You got a ventilation hood and stuff going, you're sucking air out, so you're not keeping all that heat in there, but you're working right over top of that torch. And that's some serious heat. I mean, it takes a lot of heat to melt glass. And when you burn yourself with that, it's not like you touch yourself and you're like, ouch, it is so hot. You don't even know you burned yourself. It's like, it doesn't even hurt. It just instantly like bubbles. Yeah, it's just crazy. It only takes once or twice, man. You learn your lesson real quick of like, fucking how that glass, how it folds on you, and because you'd be working on something and all of a sudden it just drops. And so yeah, it takes a lot of practice, but it's fun, man. Not cheap. It's not cheap to get into, but it's definitely fun.
I think it's awesome that you chase your cannabis passions there. It being the hash making, the making the salves, whatever. You know what I mean? You've worked your way through the cannabis plant quite a different variety of ways. And I think that's awesome. All the way to blowing your own pipe to smoke that shit, man. That's pretty fucking awesome, man. I think it's awesome.
It's pretty cool. You pass your buddy a pipe and he's like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. Where'd you get this?" He's like, "This is kind of funky." And it's like, "Yeah, I made it." And he's like, "Oh, that's kind of why it's kind of weird." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a little eclectic, man. It's abstract. Don't worry about it. Just smoke it. It works. Shut up." It's better than the pop can back in the day, brother.
So I heard you mention at least looking into breeding. Are you doing any breeding of your own?
I make some seeds. I've been making some seeds here and there. Again, I kind of made some seeds, started out a necessity. I found that Harley Who strain, that one-to-one that I really liked. And another one of the one-to-ones I really liked was a strain called Tiger Beat. And the Tiger Beat seeds didn't germinate all so well, but I found a really good male out of the seeds that did germinate. So I took that and crossed that with that Harley Who that I really liked to make like a good stable, because the Harley Who was herming on me. So I found one that did not herm, and I bred that with that Tiger Beat. And that's what I've been using for my wife's medicine for probably the last 3 years. And I named it Dr. Beat. So we have the Dr. Beat that I use for all myself and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of my first project. Again, it was just kind of out of necessity, just to make more seed. So I just had backup of those varieties because they both worked really well. And then from there, I've just kind of messed around with a few things. I was doing Operation Grow, and Rasta Jeff was our sponsor that season. And he has the Arise plant that he crosses with all kinds of stuff. I say he's crossed it with everything but the kitchen sink. He's a big fruit guy. He likes his sativas, and he likes his fruit strains. And he'd crossed the Arise with everything but banana at that point. So I was like, hey man, you mind if I cross this with the banana OG? He's like, no man, go for it. So he kind of helped walk me through that project a little bit, and get my goal. And I knew what I was looking for, and he kind of helped me pick out, the phenotype to look for in the plant, because I popped a few packs of seeds of, when I was looking for a male. So he's like, yeah, this is what you want to look for. This is the phenotype. So we kind of worked through all that and went through the steps. And I call that Wooderson. And it's a Banana OG by Arise. And yeah, it's a nice plant, dude. It's like a real banana. It's not like a candy. It's more like a banana peel kind of deal with and it goes from like a foot funk to a gas to more like a sweeter, more just banana-ish side of things. So you got like really out of that F1, you had like really like 3 distinct phenos out of it. So, you got the gas guy that was like, oh man, I fucking, I grew out 5 of them, dude. And this gas one is awesome. To where, the funky lover is like, oh dude, that foot one was cool as shit. That banana foot thing was crazy. So, some people have found some pretty cool stuff out of that. I made one called Clayton Bigsby. I made that with Mass Medical's Putang, and I crossed that to the TKNL5 Haze. I grew out a pack of the TKNL5 Haze, and you get 6 weeks in the veg before you sex stuff out, and you got your favorite plant. Everybody does it. It's like, that's the fucking one. Look at that beautiful leaves, great structure. Look at the stems and stalks, it's so fucking robust. And that's the one, man. I can't wait for that girl. And then she gets nuts. And it was such a beautiful plant. I just kept it. Didn't have like any real plans to like do any breeding or anything. I'm like, man, this plant is just so beautiful. I just cannot get rid of it. I know it's a male, I don't know what to do with it, but so anyways, I had just a ton of a few females. I had that Putang, the Lemon Delight, and a couple other things in there. So I just hit all of them, just brushed all the branches. And so the Clayton Bigsby came out of that. And it's kind of a funny story how I came up with the name of it. But Clayton Bigsby is, right?
Yeah, do tell.
Oh, so anybody who doesn't know Clayton Bigsby, Chappelle Show. Clayton Bigsby was the blind black white supremacist. Because he was a blind black man, but he was a white supremacist. So anyways, great skit. If you haven't seen it, fucking go watch it. So anyways, I had a friend over, and he grew it out. He was the first one to grow it out. and he grew it out. And he's like, man, this shit's crazy, dude. Fucking, whatever. It's like dark purple and fucking this and that. And like, anyways, he's like, man, this shit smokes like crazy. Like, kind of gives you anxiety, panic attack, like that high, like sativa fucking racy kind of shit. And he's like, it's like crazy white boy weed.
Uh-huh.
Well, my buddy's a black guy. So my black guy saying it's crazy white boy weed. The first thing I thought of was fucking Clayton Bigsby. And I told him, I said, I'm naming it Clayton Bigsby. And he immediately fucking got it and just started laughing. So I named it Clayton Bigsby. I haven't done anything with it. I've given it to a few people. It's a really fucking cool plant, but I only had a handful of them because I just brushed a couple branches. So I need to dig into that again and grow out some more of them. But there was some really cool stuff in there. There's phenos in there where it's like that putang where it just turns black, but you get like a nice like sativa high with that kind of like that tangy flavor a little bit that you get from that putang. Putang is star pupil tangy, but it gets like that heavy citrus flavor from the tangy. So yeah, it's really cool smoke, man. But there is some racy, like, have you like looking for your mama phenos in there. So if you like that kind of stuff, they're definitely in there. But yeah, I did that. The Menage a Delight. I think you might have grew out the Menage a Delight, didn't you?
I sure did. I sure did. That was good smoke.
Yeah, I did that. I've done a few other little projects here and there. Most stuff just for me, just for fun. I've given
Like that's the one you'll shit yourself, right? The possibility of you shitting yourself.
Yeah, that TKNL5 haze by itself. I think that was more just the NL5 haze back in the day that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, back like, late 80s, early 90s, people smoking that NL5 haze, because back then, unless you were in the scene, all of us we were all smoking shit weed. It wasn't until later on until the kind buds started coming in and stuff like that. So, somebody pulls up with some TKNL5 haze, you've been smoking Mersh forever. All of a sudden, you might shit yourself, dude. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. That stuff is pretty strong. So I bet some old boys back in the day can hold it together. But yeah, that's the stuff she was talking about, though.
Yeah, that was good weed. That was good weed. I ran in a few runs. That's some monsters.
Yeah, it did well outside too. I ran it in the greenhouse a couple summers ago, and it did really well out there.
Right on.
So, but yeah, I've got a few things here and there. I've got a couple projects. I FT'd the Wooderson. I still haven't popped any of those seeds yet, and those have been made for probably about 8 months. Just need to get around to throwing a bunch of solo cups out and seeing what's in there. I just made a few Virginia Beach Afghani by Kandahar seeds. Virginia Beach Afghani is kind of like a local fucking one of those things that you can't get, or if you got the clone, you can't give it to anybody kind of deals. So I got that, and I crossed that to like an heirloom Kandahar that I got from a guy that was collected in Afghanistan straight from the farmer. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I crossed that. Some seeds are just finishing up drying now. So I got a few things to look through here come this winter. That's usually what I'll do is I make my seeds during the summer when I've got my greenhouse growing. I got I kind of let things kind of wrap up in the spring as far as, big flower runs or whatnot inside. Then in the summertime, I'll kind of do a couple of breeding projects here and there, grow my mom's back out, shit like that, where I got more space indoors. So I kind of make my seeds and stuff during the summer. Then in the winter time, I'll look through some of them.
Are you breeding in the greenhouse, or are you breeding just more indoors?
Just indoors. I just do indoors. For one, I like to keep all my greenhouse stuff just for flower. I like a lot of it, that quantity is nice to have for hash and stuff like that. If I am drying and pressing anything out for rosin, it's nice to have that amount. So I like to keep that clean. That, and I like to put pollen outdoors. My greenhouse isn't completely enclosed. I got exhaust fans and stuff like that. I don't run like wet walls or anything. So it is open on the ends. So I'm not gonna pollinate the neighborhood. So I just do all my stuff indoors. Most of the time it's just with brush. I think the Wooderson project, I did it, I stuck the females in with the male and did it that way. And the Kandahar, I did an open pollination just with the Kandahar indoors. But yeah, that's all indoors. I got separate tents and shit. Other side of the basement, I got like, it's separate. I got 2-3 doors that separate everything. So I'm really not worried about it.
So you obviously you're catching your own pollen. You want to walk us through how you harvest your pollen and store?
I've done it in different ways. I started out, just when they're dropping heavy, I cut a branch off, take it out of the tent, tap it on a little bit of a cookie tray with aluminum foil on it, and just do it that way and collect it that way. Last time I did it, I knocked my branches off in the trim bin. I cleaned my trim bin out real good, cleaned the screen off real good. And then I just knocked my branches on my trim bin and then cleaned out my trim bin. That way I didn't have to go through all the, all the little fucking seed husks or whatever they're called. It was very little debris in there. It was just mostly just pollen. And that worked really well. But I've done everything where I've, lined the bottom of my tent with aluminum foil to catch everything that falls. I've done it several different ways, but I think probably the best way of doing it is either the trim bin or just taking it branch by branch and just like tapping it over some aluminum foil on like a cookie sheet or something. And then I let the shit sit out. I'll let it sit out 24 or 36 hours. And I can kind of take like, like a business card, index card, something like that, and just kind of sift through it. And you can kind of tell from the start to the finish, like, you can kind of tell how moist it is in the beginning just by sifting through it. That's how I tell, is just by sifting through it. I can kind of tell how dry it is and if it's ready to be put into something or not. And then I put mine in larger size seed vials with a couple of grains of rice. Seal them up good, put them in a couple vacuum seal packs, vacuum seal it, and then I throw them in the freezer.
How long do you think it's good for?
I used Kandahar pollen the other day that was still viable. I got seeds from that was 2 years old. Year and a half old. Yeah, something like that. Year and a half, 2 years. So I don't know. You store it right. I mean, I've seen people recently that have used 10-year-old pollen.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah, I guess like really the best way to do it nowadays, I'd say, is like just make sure your pollen's good and dry before you put it in any kind of a capsule or vial or anything like that. Whether you put the desiccant inside of the vial, whether you use rice or whatever it is, or if you put it like inside of the actual vacuum seal pack on the outside of the vial or whatnot, put some kind of a desiccant pack in there, then vacuum seal that shit. You're getting all that air out. I mean, there's no way for anything to get in there. The only thing that's really going to fuck with that is this heat, just hot and cold and condensation.
Is the Three Little Birds farm, is that the salve there? Is that your salve?
Yeah. So that's kind of what we named the farm here. The wife, she does the whole Three Little Birds thing on Instagram. But yeah, that's kind of like the farm page, the farm deal. But yeah, the salve we do with Three Little Birds just because we hand it out so much. She gives it to people she works with. I give it to aunts and uncles. The farm logo just looks a little bit better than the Leftys logo with the one thing has a pot leaf in the background and stuff like that. So we like the three little birds. The wife drew that up. You know, we got all the dogs and shit here. So it just works well.
3 dogs, 3 birds. I noticed that 3 there.
Well, we got 4 now, 4 dogs. So we've gained one, but yeah,
Nice.
we keep the name. We like the name.
What you got as far as the dogs go?
Well, I got 2 Frenchies that are under 2 years old that I'm gonna breed with. So they've been a handful. The male's older, chill, just kind of the oofy, typical Frenchie, and then the younger female is a fucking maniac terror. So it's good we got her second, because I don't know if we would have got another one after her, because she's a handful. But yeah, they're both under 2. Like they're like 2 and a year and a half old. And then I got a pug Chihuahua mix. He's 10. He's something else. And then I got a Chihuahua Yorkshire Terrier mix. And she's like 13. So she's kind of the emo dog that sits in the corner and like nobody fucks with her. So yeah, we got quite the mixture of dogs. But yeah, I flew all over the place getting those Frenchies. I got one out in LA and then I got one in Denver. But I was kind of looking for certain color codes that I wanted to breed with. More like the standard thing. It's kind of crazy when you get into the French bulldog breeding, probably any kind of dog breeding. It's so much like cannabis, dude. So much like cannabis, because like, you know, I started following all these French bulldog breeders, you know, like learning stuff from them and following these guys and all this shit. And they do the lives and they're fucking bickering back and forth about genetics. And, you know, this dude said that and this guy did that. And, you know, this guy's got beef with that dude over this. And I'm just like, holy shit, man, this is just like fucking weed. And it just blew my mind. But it's crazy, dude, that what them dogs go for. I mean, certain breeds, you know, certain genetics go $30,000 to $100,000 a dog.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, on average, they're like $5,000 to $10,000, and then, you know, that's what I got mine for. But yeah, I mean, breeding those dogs is crazy because you can't naturally breed them. They got to have artificial insemination because of the way that their hips are shaped or something. Fucking, they get stuck together. Fucking, I don't know. So you got to deal with that. So you got to pay for that, and then they got to have C-section for the same reason. You know, there's just too many risks involved with losing the dog during birth. You know, he's paid $5,000 to $10,000 to possibly $30,000 for this dog. It's like, you don't want to lose the goddamn dog given childbirth. So anyways, so you pay for all that stuff, all the shots, and people are like, well, why do I got to pay so much for a puppy? It's like, do you realize how much money went into that puppy? You know, really, you're about making only about half your money back. And in the long run, you're making about, you know, half of it, a little bit more than half over what you're paying. You know, if you're paying 5, you're only making 5 on top of it. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I'd never even heard of a doggy C-section until lately, and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh, that's all right." It kind of blew my mind a little bit there, but it's a thing.
Yeah, and you can only do it for a few years too with certain types of dogs, because like, you know, with Frenchies and pugs and stuff like that, they have a lot of breathing issues, and it's like you don't want to sedate them more than you have to. Every time, you know, you have a litter of puppies, you got to sedate them probably. So yeah, you just got to be careful with them. But yeah, they have all kinds of issues. They're cute, man. They're cute. They're lovable. But man, they're a pain in the ass and they cost a lot of damn money to take care of.
No, dogs are awesome.
Yeah, my male actually. I actually am not gonna be able to breed with my male. He had a seizure here a few months ago. We had to take him in to get a fucking MRI to see what was causing the seizure. So he's doing good. They just say he's epileptic. So he takes like anti-seizure medicine. They say he's gonna have a seizure like once a month, basically, from now on. So it lasts about 30 seconds and it's scary as hell, but he's fine after it. It's like he doesn't even remember it. But
Chihuahua side.
what's that now?
One of the Chihuahua sides.
No, it's my Frenchie. My Frenchie male. Yeah. Yeah, it took him he started doing it probably about 3 months ago. So he turns 2 in August. So I mean he's 20, he was like 21 months old before he had a seizure. But
it's a fucking scary shit. See them all lock up, tongue come out, fucking get all lethargic and shit, fucking out of nowhere and shit. And then 10 minutes later, they're up and at 'em again. You're like, what the fuck just happened? I've seen it a few times with my dogs, a few of them.
Yeah.
Scary shit.
Yeah, it was like 4 in the morning and he's kind of restless and they sleep in bed with us. But he's kind of restless anyways because he doesn't breathe the best. So he'll sleep and then he kind of sits up for a while and then he just kind of is restless. Well, he just fucking my wife wakes up really easy and she just like something's wrong with him.
You get wobblehead. They get the
well, he just locked up. He completely froze. Like his eyes moved. Because I snatched my bed, took a quick out into the kitchen where I could see what was going on. But basically, the only thing that was moving on him was his eyes. Otherwise, he was like completely locked up. But yeah, it was like 4:00 in the morning. This is the first time he had one. I was like, what the hell just happened? But yeah, it was like within about 2 minutes of him being over it, man, he was normal. Didn't know what happened. Trotting around the house and shit. And Melissa's like, what the hell? So yeah, little man's already cost us more than what we got him for. But shit. My wife has never had kids. I got one kid, he's 20, 23. So it's like, these are our kids.
Hey, fucking there's something about that pure love, man. They come up to you. They know when you're having a shit day, jump up in your lap, lick your face. Just bring that pure love, that pure, unadulterated love. Just, yeah, I love the dogs. That's why I keep muting my dog. My dogs behind me. And they've literally come to just like children. They're fucking children. Even though they are as old as they are. But you remember when you were a child and you would go places with your parents and you would see them in that deep conversation and you go, I can get away with some shit right now. Well, my dogs undoubtedly over the years have come to know showtime. It's like we can get away with anything right now. It's swear to you, every night at showtime behind me, they just start fighting and not fighting, but rolling around. But in mute, that's all you would hear behind me is my dogs frolicking behind me because they know I can't do shit about it. But yeah,
that's why your dogs, right?
No, babies, they all stem from a Chihuahua.
Okay.
I had a Chihuahua Angel and a Shih Tzu Shy and a Yorkie Hudson, and they all at one point had bred with the Chihuahua. So I have variations of Chihuahua, Shih Tzu, and Yorkie. But yeah, they're kind of small dogs, but man, they're awesome dogs nonetheless.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I got all small dogs, man. I don't mind big dogs, just somehow I've ended up with small dogs over the years. So I think it's because I was in like townhouses and apartments and shit like that for so long. We just always like I had small dogs. But yeah, I've always had like pugs and fucking chorkies and chugs and fucking whatever they're called now. But yeah, I like small dogs. I definitely don't mind them.
Yeah, they're cool dogs. They had definitely have their own very own personalities. One thing I've just found out about, I'm no dog breeder, but I've accidentally, like the strains some of the strains I've bred, accidentally bred a few over the years. And fucking, I've seen the dogs over the years. You see mom, dad, and okay, like I said, we started out with Angel, Shy, and Hudson. So over the years, as the litters have shaked out, I can see an Angel, a Shy, and a Hudson every so often.
Right.
But then they've kind of at one point kind of mixed one more time. And now I see, now there's little buddies. Now there's buddies and daisies. So every so often you can see you get a little buddy. So a little buddy and a little daisy. And so behind me are 3 generations. So out of that angels and that first litter, it came Bubba and a daisy. And Bubba is behind me. Okay. And then they out of time, they had another, and then came Buddy in time. And then so I have Buddy behind me, which is Bubba's son. And then I have a little Buddy behind me, which is Buddy's son. So I have 3 generations of males behind me. But yeah. It's just chilling, but they're cool. They're cool. But I don't know. Their breeding dogs is pretty wild because every so often you can clearly see, obviously the start.
It's pretty neat. There's a app. There's a phone app called Color My Frenchie where you can plug in the genetics for like the dame and the sire, and it'll spit out the probabilities of different color combinations and different shit, and it's pretty cool. You get into some of it, but you gotta be careful with some of it too. It's like almost like breeding herms. There's like certain color coats you can't breed together, otherwise you bring out like different hip dysplasia issues, or fucking eye issues, or there's different things you can bring about by bad breeding in dogs. Each breed has their own thing. With pit bulls it might be fucking, I don't know, their leg turned sideways or I don't know, but with every breed there's something different to where you got to be careful with like some of these color coats, to where what I call the breeders are breeding hype dogs. And it's like they're taking these super recessive things and they're bringing them to the forefront in some of these dogs, and it's like, and then they're breeding them with other shit, and it's like, wait a second, this is brand new. You guys don't even know how long these dogs are going to live, what their health is going to be like in the long run. You don't know any of this shit, and you've gone down from, okay, let's call it F1 to, you guys have jumped to fucking F6 before F1's even 2 years old. You don't even know what's going on yet, and it's the same thing as weed, dude. Like I said, it's the same fucking thing as weed.
So sad and true. So sad and true. It is though. Why is it that we have to chase the hype in breeding? To be honest with you, it's yeah, and we are breeding for just crazy traits that are weakening. That's kind of one of the reasons I asked you if you're breeding indoors, because for one, we're selecting for breeding reasons. our own reasons, not just letting the plant, select itself for multiple reasons. Breeding outdoors, each year it's like diversifying for the mistakes of this year, I believe. So when it goes through that process, if you this year was a drought year, I think in the next year's seeds, it's being programmed to like maybe dig deeper with those roots to prevent.
Absolutely.
And I think when we breed them indoors, we're starting to select for traits that we want more THC, more of this. In multiple years of indoor breeding, I think we're going to be setting ourselves up for failure because the diversification that we need for all kinds of pressures that our outdoor breeding brings will be gone because we selected greedily for certain traits.
Right.
Hype for the hype traits.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like even what I've noticed is even certain things that are supposed to be so-called mold resistant outdoors aren't even mold resistant anymore. Is it just something's become acclimated to the region, or is it just that they just have done so much breeding with a plant that used to be have those defenses, they spread it too much and they lost that. No, they didn't breed for that. They bred for other things and lost that. Linked traits. I mean, there's linked traits in genetics. You're gonna lose something along the way if you're going for something else. It's inevitable. You're gonna lose fucking something if you're going for something.
So when you're selecting for your breeding process, how are you selecting your males? Are you just randomly taking multiple males and breeding them out, or are you searching for something in particular in the male?
It depends on the project. When I was making the Wooderson, I was crossing into the Banana OG. Banana OG, what I wanted to do is I wanted the arise structure, because arise is a beautiful plant, has great structure. It has kind of that like almost alternating branch kind of thing, but the real stout branches. It's just a beautiful stacking plant, just the way it grows. Nice bud structure and shit on it. And I wanted to get more of that structure in the Banana OG and then bring some of that banana flavor into the arise. So when I talked to Jeff, arise is made up of Golden Goat Daybreaker, if I'm not mistaken. So Daybreaker is Joseph OG by Chem D. And the Golden Goat is like a Hawaiian sativa by Romulan or something. So anyways, there's the two sides of it. So when we're talking about it, we decided he's like, you need to go with that wide-leafed pheno because that's more of the OG Chem D side, and you're not going to get that fruitiness from the Golden Goat fighting the banana flavor. So my goal was, when I was looking for a male, was to look for one that I like the structure on with that wide leaf that the Chem D and the Joseph OG from the Daybreaker through. So when I was looking for a male, I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was looking for. I was just looking for the best version of it out of my selection. With that particular case, it was really easy because I knew directly what I was looking for. Now with the Kandahar, that was more of an open pollination, and I just basically got rid of, I had a herm in it. These were heirloom seeds straight from Afghanistan. So either they were open pollinated or they were, worked to a certain direction over amount of years, but they still had herms in them. So with those, I got rid of the bullshit and just open pollinated with the good ones. But other projects, it was just, more of a feel thing. Like with the TKNL5 Haze, that was one of those plants where it was just so beautiful, I couldn't get rid of it. And I just had to use it. So it just depends on the project and what I'm going for. But But yeah, I always try to have a reason for using one. You know, I see a lot of guys who are like, "Hey, I popped 5 seeds and I had a male. I'm going to use it." And it's like, dude, what the fuck? You know, why? Well, you know, do you not have more seeds? Do you need seeds? Are you just going to use them for yourself? You know, what's the point? So yeah, I try to have a purpose in doing stuff.
Yeah, I agree. There should be some purpose there, 100%, or some reason for selection.
And I like old stuff. I've been trying to collect old stuff, and you know, I did a big NL5 run. You know, I think Ag Seed Co, AK Beans, everybody came out with those NL5s that like appeared out of the freezer one day. And I bought packs of those from everybody and ran those just to see differences and shit like that. So I had a room full of NL5. That was kind of cool. I found a few different things out of that were kind of neat. A little bit of a throwback on that. But yeah, I like old stuff, old Afghanis, you know, old NLs, you know, old like Nepalese like heirlooms and shit like that from Bodie and Stray Fox and Doc. I love Doc these seeds. I love him and Bodie and Stray's work. I always put them three together because like they all kind of use Bodie stuff and then make kind of their own stuff with Bodie stuff. Which are all like, in my opinion, three excellent breeders, the three of them guys. So yeah, I have a ton of stuff from Doc D. I love Doc D's seeds. I run the Band-Aid Haze. His Black Triangle work is awesome. Yeah, I get into a little bit of everything, man. But yeah, some of them Kandahar seeds are gonna be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting into those. Those are gonna be special.
Right on. I see you had packed your pipe there with a little bit of hash. What is it?
So this to be honest with you, this is probably a Heinz 57 mix of hash, I think is what I have left. So it's a little bit of everything I had left over in my little smalls jar. And I make a big round of hash with it after big harvest. So I believe that's what this is with some local skunk. So I think we'll fire this up. Time's it getting to be? Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
There's nothing wrong with the Heinz 57, if you will, hash. I love the festival hash, the Heinz 57, a little bit of full spectrum. Good hash. That's what I call
And it all gets that same flavor. I mean, you get little hints of this, you know, if it's citrus, you get a little bit of this, you know, a little citrus in it or whatnot. After a while, though, man, all hash, like traditional hash, kind of gets that hash taste. You know, all kinds of fucking taste the same after a while. So you get a little hints of something different here and there from time to time. But
Yeah, I definitely like to mix them 100%. I used to pull them out, fresh froze, mark each plant, put them aside, and try to do single runs. And I'm like, one point, I'm like, I don't have the fucking time for this.
yeah, it's hard. It takes a lot of material too.
Ross and Jeff in chat. Cheers to you. We've given you a few nods this evening. So did you make that piece? Did you get that one?
This was actually a gift from my wife last year for my birthday. And this is from Jonas Chillum. And he's out of Italy. So she got this directly from him out of Italy. But there's a couple of guys that are kind of known for their chillums. There's Jonas, and there's a guy that goes by Made, MA.DE. He's also out of Italy. But yeah, some with the Italian clay and Italians, they do some really cool chillums. But originally they came out of India. It's hash fucking India is real big on chillums.
Why is that your preferred method for hash?
It burns well. It burns really well out of here. Again, the ritual of it, it's just something different. You pull it out in the middle of an event, and most people are like, "What in the fuck is that? What are you doing?" A lot of people don't even know what it is, and it's like, "Here, dude, try it." And the first time people smoke hash, like real traditional hash out of a chillum like that, they're just like, it's like, "Hey, dude, don't fall asleep there, man. It's cool, enjoy it, but don't fall asleep."
Nice. I think it's to me, it almost reminds me like the steamroller for hash.
Yeah. I'll give buddies little sample balls of it and shit. And I'll like put little fucking warnings on the bags, but like, don't smoke before 6 p.m. Shit like that. Meet buddies at lunch, give him a piece of it, and he's like, "Dude, I smoked that shit on the way home." It's like, I got stuff to do this afternoon. Like, you fucked up.
Well, I believe temperature plays a huge difference in how it affects us. So that little cooling time from A to B, and then the cooling in your lungs, is, in my opinion, super sedative. The cooler you get there, it's more cow's lock, I think.
Yeah.
So that may be part of the secret there. Does the length of it matter? I mean, as far as them devices.
I bet you, because on the inside of it, there's a stone that runs almost the full length of it. So you have about this much room, and on top of it, where you actually, well, not even that, probably about, probably the first, I don't know, 3/8, half inch is where you can pack it at. And then there's a stone that has just like little slots, little grooves. That's a cone shape that goes from up there to almost all the way to damn near the tip. Let me see there. Yeah, it's just barely on the inside of the tip there. But that's the cooling stone. So I mean, that smoke runs along that, and it cools along as it goes. So I mean, the longer it is, I figure it get cooler, because it's just that much more length for it to cool off before it hits your lungs. So I'd imagine the longer it is, the better, the smoother the hits it is. But man, this one can be a challenge to smoke sometimes by yourself. Sometimes it's nice to have somebody around to light it for you.
Nice. Just to get it rolling, so you don't have to. You still have the breath to take that long drag.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You really get fired up sometimes, and you can keep it going for a while. Smoke this room out pretty bad.
That's one of the things I love about hash, though, is that thick smoke of the hash.
Yeah, I'll smoke. I'll be down here sometimes smoking. Fucking my wife will come down and open the door. She'll be like, "Holy shit, where are you at?" It's so smoky here. But yeah, it's my little smoke hangout room down here.
Yes. Yeah, I enjoy just the process of making hash, even though they've never had a short day. I don't think there is a short day of just making hash.
Quick wash. You mean a quick wash?
Yeah, quick wash. I don't think there's a such thing as a quick wash.
No. I did that one day. So my wife, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do a quick wash. She laughs. She goes, a quick wash. She goes, yeah, that shit takes like 7 hours. She's like, what are you talking about? Quick wash. I'm like, yeah, okay. Speaking of that, I got a freezer full of material that I gotta fucking wash. She's starting to harvest beans. I think in the last 2 days she's bagged like 25 bags of green beans already in the last 2 days. And she's like, I'm gonna have to go out and buy a little fucking cube freezer because you got that extra refrigerator's freezer full of your material, right? And I was like, is that a hint? She's like, well, kinda. We could use a cube freezer anyways, but she's like, you need to get that cleaned out soon. So I think I got a few days of washing ahead of me.
Extra freezer isn't bad.
No.
Then you can make ice. Extra freezer for making ice isn't bad. That's the best ice to use when you're making hash. It's
Oh yeah.
solid ice.
Yeah. I don't use a lot of ice. I try to get my water as cold as I can. And I put an amount of ice in there, but I'm not a over icy guy. I like the water. I don't like to beat the shit out of my material.
I agree. But solid ice stuff does buy you some time though. Cool, that's less loss.
Yep. Yep.
Because I think you are beating up the material by adding the sharp corners of them little store-bought ice, ripping your material apart. It should be a gentle massaging, just knocking them off. Rather than
That Sonic ice. That Sonic ice would be perfect. Those little round beads. You know what I'm talking about? Sonic has those little round beads of ice in their drinks. You need to find that kind of an ice machine somewhere. That should be perfect. Round, wouldn't beat up your material too bad.
So are you hand mixing it? Do you have a machine?
I got a wash machine. I got a wash machine right now. I'd like to get one of those big tubs with the big spout on the bottom where you can do it by hand. But yeah, one of these days. One of these days. I'd rather get the freeze dryer before I got that.
Why do you think you need the freeze dryer?
Just because it saves on terps and it's gonna save on color and oxidation.
Do you really think that color's a thing? I think that though I think the whole color thing, to be honest with you, has been like an industry push. So they
For sure.
can
Sure.
early. So I think the color has always been just a something that's been pushed on us. Dark hash to me isn't, you know what I mean? It isn't that. Yeah, I don't give a shit about dark hash. To me, that to me, honestly, between me and you, that's a sign of good hash. You pull that shit out of your bag, and 30 minutes later, you look back at it, and them edges are already turning brown.
Oh.
That's fire hash. You know what I mean? It's still green in the hour, or gold, or whatever you had sitting there, light green. It varies. I've had pink hash, sangria, made beautiful pink hash. Yeah, sangria by James Proof, super nice, fruity, almost like a pink lemonade, almost. It was good.
Yeah, I do all mine out of it's all like dried and cured. I don't do anything fresh frozen. I don't do any. You
So
blanked out.
what was the revelation for you when, between the fresh frozen or, drying it and then freezing it?
There was no point in me doing fresh frozen because fresh frozen is all about color, if you ask me. That and preserving the terps, right? Getting the terps as fresh as you can.
So
It's a floss. That's the theory, right? Color and terp freshness. Well, that only works if you have a freeze dryer. Because once you air dry it, you just fucking defeated the whole purpose of what you were doing with fresh frozen. So there's no point in me doing fresh frozen until I get a freeze dryer.
Have you ever tried? I've done this for a very long period of time. It's kind of the same thing as a freeze drying, but without the freeze dry, I guess. So I kind of like to keep my stuff more in a patty that I press.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to necessarily break that up. I'll take that and I'll put it on parchment paper, and then I'll put it in Prilex with a nice little cover, and I put it in the freezer. You'll see it crystallize. Let it air dry for a bit between that first freezing, just a little bit, a couple hours, and then so you put it in there, you let it crystallize, you'll see it, the moisture come out, and then pull it out, pop that lid off, let the moisture that's wicked out dry off, flip it around, back to the freezer, and just work it back and forth like that until you've got a good portion of that moisture out, and then just kind of you can store the patties. It's just kind of like a temple ball process. You leave it more natural, but you can get hell of a lot of the moisture out without
Yeah, that's true.
Freeze dryer and all that. But for somebody like me or you, that's saving a whole huge cost on that freeze dryer. And again, I think that's I've had some good freeze dried hash, but I've had a lot of freeze dried hash where I've been like, man, it's pretty, but
there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's kind of missing some shit.
Right.
It's just another step. But teach their own. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just, I guess we're having a conversation. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad to it. I mean, I look at it as like it's speeding up the process a little bit. If I'm not losing anything in the end. I don't know. I'm one that I'm more of the belief now to where I think, dried cured is better than fresh frozen. And I see a lot of people are like really into rosin and dabbing, and they're getting to that point too where they're like, to dried and cured is better than the fucking fresh frozen. So there's that.
I think you get a lot better yield.
For sure. The heads are going to be so much easier to break off.
I always joke about initially for me, the reason I did it wasn't none of the above. It was none of the above. It was the outlaw factor. It was 100% the outlaw factor. Back in the days, like learning how to fucking make hash and all that. Remember Farmer John? There's an old video of Farmer John, and he's talking about how he's making his hash. And this is like back in the early YouTube days where he's like fucking bandana, blast videos and shit like that. But he talks about preparation of the material for saving for hash. And he talks about fresh frozen versus letting it dry a little bit. And he looks into the camera and he's like, they ask him why he prefers to let the material dry out for a day or two before he fucking before he freezes it. And he looks at the camera and he's like, man, you lose about like half the weight or better, man. If you're gonna get busted, man, I ain't gonna get busted with a bunch of fucking wet material and get 4 times the fucking time because the shit's got water in it, man. I'll let this shit dry out, save, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like, that makes perfect sense, Farmer John. I do not want to get busted with fucking with water weight. I'm gonna let that shit dry out.
Speaking of that, when you do your patties, before you said you put them in the freezer, how well do you squeeze that water out of them? Do you get them like you squeeze out really good, or do you leave like a little bit of moisture in there? Or do you leave it like
that I don't squeeze. Okay, I use a fuck ton of paper towel. So I'll take that from that big old scoop, fucking right into that 25, and I'll fold it over, and then I'll have my arsenal of paper towel, and I'll fucking put that in there, and I'll put my hands on it just like this. I'll feel that moisture that you can literally feel that paper towel.
Yep, that's what I do.
Okay. A couple of those until no more water's coming out, and then set it aside on some parchment paper. Even just setting it aside on parchment paper, that parchment paper will fucking suck out, a bit of moisture.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I do. Is I'll just, like you said, you put it on that little 25, and I just like dab it with paper towel, both sides, and that's about it. Don't get it real thick. A little bit thinner than I get it about, thinner than a pancake for something about like this.
We talked about a little bit about making hash. I don't know what your process is, but I learned stack buckets a long time ago. And as you're talking about, I'm kind of a little bit anal about that temperature too. Sit there with a little bit of a laser and check it, keep it as far like 35, 38 if I can get it. I don't like the line of the ice either. You can hear it in the machine. There's a magic. Once you figured out your machine and ice, you can hear it in the first couple.
That slosh, yeah.
Yeah, you know your machine.
Yeah.
So the stack of the buckets buys you a little bit, a couple gallons per stack. So I found that I could gentle wash, rinse. I learned a lesson a long time ago about I tried to stay ahead of the game. Oh, that water's already cold. I'm gonna use it again. Oh, fuck all that. That was fuck all that. You're rinsing out all that shit. Why do you want to reuse all them little particles and rewash them and push them back through your screens?
Right.
It's finer and finer and finer, muddier and muddier and muddy. Anyways, I learned that a long time ago. Don't reuse. Just keep using cold water, lots of ice.
Water, yep.
But gentle washes. So that's what I like to do. A little gentle wash, dump, gentle wash, dump, and keep it in that bucket. Bottomless bucket. Last one. Drill holes all in the fucking bag. All Frenchy style. All mesh bags, of course, for speedy pulls in between them buckets. Then have that set on a nice at least 20-gallon catch. So you can like wash until that stack won't drain anymore.
Right.
And that's time to fucking begin your work. But that's you can get a good 3-4 washes into that phase before. Took me a long time to figure out that system. It was like wash, pull, wash, pull, wash, pull.
So what I did is I took so I got a full bucket on the bottom, full 5-gallon bucket. And then I took other 5-gallon buckets and I cut them off. So basically I got the tops and a few inches below. So the whole top, it's like the top ring, the top like 6-7 inches of the bucket. And I got, whatever it is, 4, 5, 6 of those. So I just stack so I can put my bags in there. But it gives you more room in between those fucking bags. So, your bags aren't, touching or this far apart or, whatever the case may be. You actually got, 3, 4, 5 inches in between those bags after you do that. So I kind of like doing it that way.
It's good. Yeah, it speeds up that system a lot. And when you're making hash, all that time's very valuable.
Well, just helps that water drain too. You know how much time it takes to get water to drain, whether it's draining well or not. Either way, it takes a lot of time.
I've went so far as to all the buckets that we've talked about. I've went through with drills and drilled holes anally through all of those. So it's yeah. I was looking at I still got a lot of shit in storage, and my hash setup was being one of them. I looked at it the other day. 20-gallon machine, all wrapped in a hot water heater.
Oh, big blanket, yeah.
Taped down real good, hard piped. I've rebuilt a lot of machines, and that machine was probably my best rebuild. And what I learned in that rebuild was fuck that 90 coming out of that machine. That thing is nothing but a plugger's mess. I don't use the bags in the wash either. I did ditch those a long time ago in the machine. I don't use a bag, just let it do its thing. So come out of the bottom of that machine with a 22 and a half, little piece, 22 and a half, straight out with a ball valve, and straight out to a T with a ball valve. So you can actually blow in it if it were to ever get clogged. You can actually, there's a cap on the T.
Nice, dude.
Put on the bottom and just open it back up if you had to.
Right.
Obviously, you've had a machine clog yourself. And
yeah. Beer.
It works well, but I've never had to do that because I eliminated that 90 with that 45 run. It never slows down or bangs, fills up. So the best thing I ever did was not 90 out of the bottom of that machine, but run it on a gentle 45 hard piped.
So I can't find fittings. So one of them is 7/8 coming out.
Yeah, you have to do a little sanding, and you can actually walk a bit into the fitting, but you can do it
because it already because where it comes out the bottom, it like flares down just a little bit. This is the bubble bag. This is the bubble bag, dude. Guy fucking wash machine, but there's a little flare there. And that flare where it goes down small, it's thin. It's kind of got a thin wall on it. So
this is the Bubble Magic machine that I rebuilt. Actually, if you want, I'll send you the video. I did it live, but I talked some mad shit on it while I was doing it, so I took the video.
I had to take that shit down, man.
I did too, man. The fucking me and Boom Farms had a machine. We got two different machines. I think mine was a Bubble Magic, and he got a different machine. But they were the same fucking machine, different stickers slapped on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, we did different runs. We did like a 12-hour hash episode.
Wow, good.
And I've done a few of them live on air, man. Not so long ago, I did a wash, man, and it was probably one of my best wash. I was literally like cooking spoons, 2 or 3 cooking spoons.
Nice, dude.
About that thick, man. It looked like I was pulling pancakes out. I was pretty proud of it. I was super proud, but it just kept dumping and dumping. But So that episode, that episode, I rebuilt my machine on air with one shot and done, and it was a good rebuild. But the next day, me and Boom washed hash. His material was all fresh froze, and he had pulled out the sides of his machine, the four, the 45s, and I had left mine in, but I had made the hard pipe, and he had put a hose on his. He had altered it, but he had pulled the sides on it too. So that was just two difference, and my material was dry, and we had D420K. Who else? Fuck. We had a few hash people on it. God damn it. I can't believe I'm brain farting. Who was all on? Sorry, who was all on?
Yeah,
But
Rascal on, did you?
huh?
Rascal?
No, I've had Rascal on before, but no, Smokey the Bear, Michigan Smokey the Bear was on. D420K, and there's another hash legend on, but they were answering questions while me and Boom were washing. And we watched for like 12 hours that episode, all in all, till we were all about ready to pass out. But it was a good episode, uh, showing the different methods and shit. I ended up ripping out the 45s on my machine because it was a way better vortex, easier cleaning,
Oh, I bet.
and but if you want to see what I did with that machine, I'd be happy to send you that video if you want to see it.
Yeah, I went right out of the bottom of mine with just straight tube and then just used a hose clamp, but fucking they're both odd sizes and you can't find shit to fit them. So they both leaked. It's like, yo, I can't have this. So yeah, it's been a nightmare trying to get those things to like not do that. If you had Pedro on, Pedro's a really, really good hash maker.
I have
I was gonna say 119 shows. I'd imagine you've had Pedro on.
819.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been on a few times. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
Prosper. I had Amelia Jensen on. I did a ladies a hash episode with Amelia Jensen and a bunch of Jen Doe. A lot of cool people's been on hash makers over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the meal episode for sure. She's one of the legends.
She's awesome.
She's great. Still trucking too, man.
I know it. Yeah. I hope they continue to have that zest of life later on.
Well, she goes all over. I mean, she goes to fucking South America doing the Dabadoo and what is it? What is it? Argentina or wherever they go. But I mean, she's all over. She comes to events here in the States now, and I mean, yeah, she's an older woman and she does well. She gets around, man.
Yeah, she was just at Emerald Cup. Or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she got an award, didn't she? Like a Lifetime Achievement Award or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's something else. Like her and Frenchie were, they're like the originals, man.
Yeah. I have much regrets for I've met Frenchie a few times in person and had conversations with him, but never got that episode. Never got that episode, and I wish I would have. I had Madam Cannoli on less than a year ago, but I didn't get that one with Frenchie. I wish that's
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to him up at was that Harvest Cup, I believe. And it was funny because I'd asked him, I'd messaged him or something a couple weeks beforehand. He's like, no, I'm not going. And then was it there? Was it Endo Expo? Might have been Endo Expo. But anyways, he's like, no, I'm not going. So, anyways, I'm walking around at the event and there's fucking Frenchie with a huge line of people waiting to talk to him. I was like, man, do I wait in the line and talk to Frenchie or do I just, skip it? So I skipped it. And I never got a chance to talk to Frenchie. I'd signed up for the class, but that never happened. So yeah, bummer. But all the stuff's out there. All his knowledge is still out on the line. If anybody wants to know how to do it Frenchie style, all the information is there.
I think he definitely laid a lot of groundwork for the way we all wash hash, to be honest with you. The same processes we were talking about, washing, stacking of the buckets. I think all kind of came from him a little bit there.
Oh, for sure. And he definitely reinforced it, if not anything. Just some of the methods and stuff. But yeah, Frenchie was just cool. I don't know. My wife could care less about making hash or growing fucking weed or anything other than just that helps her out. But she used to love to listen to Frenchie talk. She didn't give a shit about what he was saying. She just loved to listen to him talk.
Yeah. We've lost a lot of great, amazing people in the cannabis community and getting ready to lose some more, man. And it's really sad. I was talking about that the other night. How many people help build cannabis up to what it is now, but because of the legality of it all, you know what I mean? Fucking dying broke. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't capitalize on what they did or, at the time, or it's kind of sad, really, but we owe a lot to a lot of amazing people that, kind of slipped through the cracks of this great fabric of cannabis. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the time where there was the money made, and there's definitely a time where it was the struggle for everybody. And it was like, depending on which one of those eras you came up with, you kind of stayed in that realm. If you're in a struggle bus, it was like you never really got out of that struggle bus. So we're like, some of these guys are maybe like brokers or something that are still in the game, they're like still doing well. It's just funny how it kind of worked like that. You really don't see a whole lot of movement really per se up and down in the cannabis industry.
Well, it's the advocates too. You know what I mean? The people that have, really fought to get the plant petitions, marches and shit like that. That's actually, put in a lot of legwork. That's, guy that drives the can of bus here in Michigan just passed, Haas.
Yeah, I saw that.
Great gentleman. I have run into him. I talked to him at the last Gems and Genetics event, probably a week and a half before he passed. And I was begging him. I begged that man to get him on the show and hear. I mean, the message of the original Rainbow Farms. That, you know what I mean? Those guys, Rolly and them guys. Have you ever heard that? How the CIA came in. They were doing the hemp fest here in Michigan back in the 90s. And the CIA came in. The township ended up fucking with them. It was like a Waco almost a type event. They came, yeah, right here in Michigan over fucking weed. They came in and fucking shot at the house, shot and killed one of the guys, set one of the other houses on fire, and fucking ended up shooting the other guy. It was a standoff. The guy was a can of fucking activist here in Michigan for a long
Where?
time. Not
Where was it?
only in Rainbow Farms in Michigan, in Paw Paw. Look it
Okay.
up. Here's the, there is some history. Look up Rainbow Farms in Michigan. There's a like you'll be blown away at the fucking story that you've never.
I lived up to the road in fucking Grand Rapids. I mean, if it was
You
90s, I mean, I was still there.
staggered at the history you've never heard of. The government stepped in and fucking you'll be absolutely blown away. The government stepped in and man, these people fucking were two big cannabis activists and fucking gave to the community. At one point, like they went to the schools. The people at Rainbow Farms, the guys that were running Rainbow Farms, went to the local school and paid for lunches for a fucking year. So the kids didn't have to, so like people in the neighborhood that couldn't afford food or whatever, all the kids had fucking food. They gave back to the community, were fucking, helped out a ton and fucking, look it up, dude. Look it up. You'll be absolutely blown away at the cannabis history you've never heard of in Michigan. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And the people that did a lot and went to jail and have just, like I said, may have been ahead of the game at one point, but went broke fighting the fucking system and shit. There's a lot of rich cannabis history that we're missing. That's why I try to get your story, everybody's little story. It all got it's all a little piece of the fabric, man, that needs to be remembered.
Oh, it all ties together. I mean, when the story is over, I mean, it's a lot of stories. You got your story, I got my story. Everybody comes together. We all have a different reason why we do it.
It's ever changing too. That's one of the beauty. If you sit down and look at, smoke that joint and think to yourself why you use cannabis today. I guarantee, as you stated tonight, that reason has evolved as you evolve. Why you use cannabis, and it will continue to evolve. I was blown away to learn that, they kind of explained a few things to me, that your endocannabinoid system changes as you get older. So how you use cannabis varies as you go on in life. So it's how your receptors took it in and used it when you were younger. It's completely different now. So, and it's weird how it's evolved. I think that's kind of the reasons why we can't get back to that original laffy high or whatever. Our bodies are like, you know what? Yeah, you need a little bit for pain, where it's delegating things in a much different way. It's boosting our immune systems, and it evolves like we evolve.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to say that. I went on a trip to Europe a few years back with my son, and first place we went was Germany. We were there for like, I don't know, 5-6 days, and then we went from Germany to Amsterdam. My son's a smoker. He was, I think he was 18 at the time. Amsterdam, 18, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You're legal age to do whatever. So he did the coffee shops and all that kind of stuff. Well, we hadn't smoked, neither one of us, in like 7-8 days, because we'd been on, in Germany. We didn't fly over there with anything. So we get to Amsterdam, and not that anything is like that crazy good in Amsterdam. There's some decent weed, but nothing's like what we grow at home. But like you're saying, it's like even after that long of a break, and I haven't taken that long of a tolerance break in years. So I was absolutely floored, but it wasn't like that giggly, haha, things are funny, let's go fucking skateboard or do something crazy. It was like, I'm really fucked up, and I kind of really want to go to fucking bed, you know? And that's how it was. That's kind of how that hit me now. But even after that tolerance break, it was nothing more than like it just hit me like way harder than what it did. For me, it's like an attitude adjustment.
So I heard you mention that your son smokes.
Mhm.
As my daughters do as well. They're adults. And I'm not ashamed to admit it was a fun door open to smoking with my children for the first time as adults.
Yep.
It was like, I kind of thought you were cool before, but I really enjoyed smoking with. Yeah. Holiday smoking with my kids as yeah. I have fun with my children now that they smoke. It's,
I mean, like my kid,
I'd
you know,
rather smoke with them than drink with them. That's for sure. Any day.
oh, for sure. You know, growing up at, you know, at an age, you know, whatever it was, 12, 13, you know, he knew I smoked, you know, he'd stumbled across bongs in the closets and shit like that just growing up. You know, we all did as kids too. We found our parents shit if your parents smoked. But it's just like, so it wasn't like I ever hid it from them, but I also didn't flaunt anything either. You know what I mean? Again, I was like, I never promoted anything, but I never made anything taboo or lied about anything either. So, you know, at a certain point, you know, we figured out he smoked weed too. So it was just like, you know, hey, fucking, you know, he's not the most motivated kid in the world. It's like, hey, dude, maybe you should maybe not do this shit. You know, you already have problems like getting up and doing shit, and you know, maybe it's not for you. So, you know, that was more our take on it. It was like, you know, you're already kind of lazy enough, you don't even need smoking weed. So, you know, just being open with him and shit. But you know, the older he got a little bit more responsible, and it got to be more of a thing to like where I was like, hey dude, let's go downstairs and go burn one, you know. Got done eating Thanksgiving dinner and let's go, you know, let's go burn one or whatnot. So, you know, that's kind of how it is at this point. And he's, you know, he's very responsible with it. I mean, he's the type kid where, you know, he lives an hour away from here. He'll come over for Sunday dinner. I'll sit down here and smoke some fucking hash with him. He'll like, hey dad, you mind if I sleep in the spare bedroom tonight? He's like, I'm pretty fucked up. I don't want to drive home. I'm like, yeah, dude, you know, and he's always been like that. You know, he's just always kind of been a responsible person. So I really don't worry about him. So I really never had anything. I never really worried about it because he always seemed to kind of have a decent head on his shoulders. So you just got to know how to judge your people and judge your kids. I mean, if you had been a fucking retard or, you know, not, you know, wiling out and just, you know, being goofy, I might have not been so for him being able to do those kind of things. But, you know, he was always fairly responsible and stuff like that. So I don't mind sharing with him from time to time. And I'm like, don't go buying stuff. I'm like, come here, you know who it comes from, you know, don't spend your money. You already don't have money anyway. So just come over, have dinner with me, and go home with a nice sack of weed.
If anything, it's good reason, like you say, come see dad, right?
Yeah. I'm like, hey man, why don't you come over more often? He's like, yeah. He's like, but usually I have to stay the night because you get me too high.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good reason to have the kids come over. And again, I don't think it's ever hindered or held them back in any kind of way. I don't think it held me back in any kind of way. So
No.
again, I'd rather see them consume, and I secretly rooted for it when they were growing up. I'm like, man, I'm not that I wanted them to do anything. You know what I mean? But I was like, man, I've never been a huge fan of alcohol. You know, I had my days. I gave it up fairly young, but I was like, man, hopefully they don't touch it. Alcohol. They have to do anything. You know, let it be cannabis. Please
Right.
let it be cannabis.
Right.
You know, and you don't ever get. You might get that high that you know, but you don't get blackout. black out crazy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, yeah. Luckily, I was lucky. My kids weren't crazy. If anything, homebodies. I was blessed like that.
Yeah. My kid was a super homebody too. So yeah, I got lucky. What was I 21? 21 had a kid. 40 by 40, he was graduated.
If anything, my kids I proclaimed, I'm never smoking weed. I'll never smoke that shit. I'll never smoke that shit until they got older.
Yeah.
And then they were like, all right. Yeah, it was weird at like every level. I came to like, all right, let me hit that. I was like, oh, little miss, I'll never smoke weed, huh? Mm. It was a fun conversation for the first time. Reasons why, you know, they changed their mind.
I think the first time I smoked with my son was I think it was when we were on our way to see Soundgarden. It was Soundgarden and Nine Inch Nails. And I think he was like 16. And at this point, I know he'd been smoking for a couple years. I'd busted him a couple times and shit. And at this point, he kind of been on more of the responsible side of it. And we're on our way up there, and I handed him a bowl and the bag, and I was like, you know what to do with this, right? And he's like, yeah, like all surprised. I'm like, this is like one of those times, dude. So I think that was the first time, and then I didn't smoke with him again until we went to Europe. So it was like a full almost 2 years after that. But yeah, that was the first time was when we went and seen Soundgarden.
And yeah, it sounds like an awesome night.
Yeah. I took him to see Tool like 6 months before that and made him wait in the front while I parked the car. He's like, I know what you were doing. Like, yeah, it sucks to be you, buddy.
It was I remember first time with my oldest. It was a weird day. It was a weird day. My oldest been going out with her guy at the time for a year. And it was like, yeah, it was all like a weird revelation all at once. She says, you want to go to the hash bash? And I'm like, you know, this is the first time, you know what I mean? Again,
You're like, yeah, I want to go, but how do I answer this shit?
I'm like, she says, yeah, me and Brandon are going to the hash bash. It's our 1 year anniversary. Last year we went, and that was the first time I smoked was with him at the hash bash last year. So that was like her admittance to me that she had smoked and she had wanted to know if I wanted to tag along to the hash bash. I'm like, Which this was kind of funny because it was a twofold. She had found out, or I found out that she had been smoking. And then on the way down, I kind of she knew I had grown. I grew weed, but she hadn't known to the level I had
Right.
growing weed.
Right.
And so we're heading down, and this is 2017. And I'm like, okay, well, kind of funny. because I'm a little known in the Kenneth like thing here. I've been doing this for quite a while. So she come to the realization when we got down there that her dad was like kind of like a little known in the cannabis community because like I was already getting like stopped and all that.
It's like, what's up, Eagle? Hey, Eagle.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck?
yeah. It was that was kind of the surreal moment for her and shit.
Kind of a big deal. What can I say?
We learned a little bit about each other today. Is basically how that went. I guess.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fun way to find out, I guess.
Yeah.
On both ends. Imagine that she gets done, goes back to the house with her boyfriend. She's like, "Did you know my fucking dad did that shit?" No idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, one of my favorite stories. I've got pictures of her. That was the first year I rolled up my first hash blunt that year. So I did like the fucking I don't know why I'm blurring now. The Frenchy cannoli temple ball technique.
Okay.
When you're pressing it out into the baggie there, right? Fucking I had the revelation. I'm like, at one point it was a nice roll, and I was like, this would make a perfect paper. And I realized I fucking pushed it out to the size of that Ziploc baggie, and it was probably nice 16-inch thick. And this is how you do it too. You roll it out just like you do in that baggie.
Yep.
As you know, in between, or I don't know if you do know, but this is how I do it. So I do my hot water bottle press and flatten it out as flat as I get it, and just as directed by Frenchie, put that motherfucker back in the freezer for a second, let it cool down, and then you can pop it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Get it out, and then you can do your little dough ball and fold it back in on itself and start the process again. And as you know, the like final step of that is when your hash is like the brindle is stopped. You know what I'm talking about? You get that light brown and dark brown, and now you've got it all just brown.
Yeah, it's all even colored. Yep.
That's when you stop right there. So I took it to that point where I had rolled it out to each end and then put it in the fucking freezer. And then I got right here this little well, it's not little, it's a Zen roller, and it fucking you get rolled. So I rolled out my fucking shit, got it all nice and thick and like jazz, and then popped it and fucking rolled it up real quick in that hash skin and took it to Hash Bash, who has a big fucking hash blunt. And yeah.
How'd it burn?
Beautifully. It's
Really?
almost fucking an hour.
I have to try that shit for sure.
I've got fucking pictures of me and Tony Stiletto, my daughter, all kinds of people smoking that joint at the Hash Bash. Oh man, it was a fucking good day. But yeah. All in all, it was a good moment. Yeah.
That'd work out good because all the flour would probably soak up the oil too, so it really wouldn't drip, right?
It burned perfectly all the way down. The only problem and the only thing that I learned in that process was it needed a tip of some point.
Okay.
The next ones I incorporated little pieces of tinfoil on the end so you didn't finger the fuck end out of it, and eventually the little glass tip. But yeah, I mean, the only, but if you ever get the chance and you're doing a good run and you want to do it, it's worth 100% do it.
Definitely have to try it. Now I got a run coming up here real soon, so I'll definitely have to try it.
So, are there any cannabis events in your area? I mean, are you guys that far established where you got shit you can hang out and do?
We got a few events in the area. Like we up in DC, they have the National Cannabis Festival. That's a pretty big one. Um they got a few of them in the area. I think we have a CanaCon that happens over at the beach. I mean, as far as those types of events, now they have local events, farmers markets type of events. That still go on here because it's kind of weird in Virginia. We legalized in 2021, and we were supposed to have dispensaries for the rec market open in, is it this year or is it next year? I thought initially it was supposed to be 2023, and then within like 6 months they already pushed it to 2024. But at this point, they don't have anything in place as far as legislation or licensing for grows or dispensaries or anything, dude. It's just a fucked up deal. So yeah, the free market, craft market, farmers market is still doing well here in the state. So we have a lot of those kinds of events that are happening.
Nice.
But as far as like, big events, DC, they have one or two a year. I think there's like yeah, like a CanaCon or something like that over Virginia Beach way. But there's been a few little ones that pop up here and there that are trying to get a little bit bigger, like a 420 festival and stuff like that, but nothing that's really big that's really taken off yet. Nothing like a Big Cloud or Rainbow Farms would put on.
Right. Are you coming to Michigan? Any Michigan events soon? It sounds like you have a little bit of ties or reason to come.
Dude, I was just up there. What was it? The beginning of June, I was up there for a long weekend in Charlevoix. Had some family business take care of for a day up there, just north of Kalkaska. So
Hey, motherfucker, come in Old Lake next time you come up and look me up.
yeah, shit, we came right up through that way, man. But yeah, we
It's
spent
about half hour from here, half hour, maybe 45.
yeah, we spent probably like I think we were up there 4 days. But my wife had never been up there. She's from Vermont originally, and I've always taken her up to Michigan in the wintertime. So I was like, I got to show you the lake when it isn't like covered in ice and it's actually kind of warm and you want to be outside a little bit. So yeah, she got up there and went camera crazy for 3 days. But yeah, it was nice, dude. Weather was pretty decent for a couple days. Went up to the bridge, showed her the bridge, and typical shit when you're up that way. But yeah, it was nice. But yeah, dude, I get up there from time to time. I was up there for the Sun Grown Cup last fall. Organic Sun Grown Cup that Nick and Country Roots did. I've been up to the Regenerative Conference up there. I get up for a few things. I'd like to get up to one of the big things up at either one of the big Gems and Genetics or one of the big Rainbow Farms or Big Cloud Farms deals that go on up there.
Right now, we definitely have some good events up here. I hope to see you at one of them sometime soon, my friend.
For sure, man. Yeah, it'd be nice to catch up in person. I've met a lot of the Michigan folks. Um, you know, Kazoo Kush, Tommy Trichomes, Nick. The list goes on and on. But yeah, I've met a lot of the guys. So it'd be nice to actually meet some more of these people face to face and be able to share a doob and fucking hang out for a while and talk shit. I'll have to make it happen.
That'd be pretty cool. All great folks mentioned, by the way.
Yeah, all good dudes, man. All really good dudes. Fun guys to hang out with too. Fucking Kazoo Kush is a riot.
Top notch, man. Kazoo is fucking.
That dude is a riot. And every time I see him too, he's giving me seeds. He's just a good dude.
Yeah.
But well, brother, I think I'm gonna hop off here. I walked 18 holes this morning and yeah, I'm fading quick.
Right on. A couple of things before we go, my friend. The Zoom link that I sent you this evening is always good. You're always welcome to come hang out with Weed Nerd World, in the Weed Nerd World, rather. Anytime you feel like it, something we're hanging on, talking about. Fucking, if something you want to set straight, just want to hang out and smoke a dude, bored, whatever, go fucking hang out. That's what it's for.
Right on.
Um, I'm sure I'd love to do a second episode at some point, see how you're doing at a later date, besides all that. So, but keep in mind that, you're always welcome here. We always like to, that's how the wheel turns, right? New people, new conversation, all that good shit.
Pop in.
So please keep that in mind. The other thing I'd like to get from you, my friend, is a little thing I call the soundbite. At some point, it'll be commercial for your episode. Bare bones. What I'm looking for is, hey, this is Eagle. All right, my version of, I should say that. My version of would be, hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle. Episode 818. You say whatever you want before, after that, as long as that's there somewhere, I'm gonna be more than grateful. And I am ready for that. Right? Yeah.
1 second, something popped up on my screen. All right. What's good? This Leftys Farm. I'm on with Talking Shit with Eagle. You guys stop in, burn one. Cheers.
Episode 818. Thank you, my friend. Please keep the show in mind, the Weed Nerd World in mind. Other than that, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate your time and your cannabis journey, my friend. Keep fighting the good fight, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Right on. Thanks again for having me on, brother. Appreciate it.
For the rest of you guys, thank you very much for tuning in, hanging out, chatting with us tonight. If this is the end of your day, your journey, please get some rest. If this is the beginning of your day, your journey, well, you're up too fucking early, man. Go back to bed. Don't forget to do something nice. Random acts of kindness do save lives. With that being said, we are out of here. Thanks, Lefty.
Cheers, brother. Have a